meaning of your life is what you make it. Nobody can decide what you will do except for you.
Asian rice eels or swamp rice eels. It's either of the two, because Asian rice eels could be found in the eastern and the southern Asia. Countries such as Korea, China, India, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Thailand, Macau, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So, what is an Asian rice eel? Asian rice eel is considered as a predator, as it feeds on tadpole, medium-sized fish, small fish, crayfish, and river shrimps. Where can rice eels be found? Rice eels could be found in muddy areas, such as swamps, ponds, medium to small rivers, and rice fields.
Hi! The topic for today's video is about the threats of rice eels in rice fields. In other countries, it is also known as Asian swamp eels. But here, especially in the Philippines, it is popularly known as kiwi. Invasive species comes in all shapes and sizes, but the number one thing they have in common is the threat they pose, which may cause devastating consequences on the nation's ecosystem, economy, and human health.
Billions of people live on Earth, but the question is, how many of them is aware of the threat of this rice eel to our land farms here in the Philippines?
To better understand the threats of these rice eel, I would like to tell you guys an acronym TELLUS, T-E-L-L-U-S, which is also the Greek word for Earth.
First, T stands for traits. Rice eel have several traits that make it a bigger threat. These rice eels are capable of breathing into air, withstanding harsh environmental conditions, such as when drought seasons, they can burrow into the ground.
They can also colonize unconnected bodies of water via overland migration. They are also active at night and because they are difficult to be detected and captured during the day.
Second, E stands for emergence of destructive rice eel. Way back in year 2016, news broke out that there was an emergence of destructive rice eel in northern Luzon, particularly in Isabela and Cagayan Valley, which really become a bigger threat to the farmers. Third, L stands for loss of native species. It was suspected that most of the rice farms being established that there are many cases of loss of native species, considering the facts that they have no known predator at this time that have sophisticated adaptive skills and insatiable eating habits that could really affect the food source of native fishes. Fourth, L stands for low income to the farmers. This is not really a threat brought by the rice eels, but rather a problem to our economy. Pests to rice farms are really great threats to the farmers.
This is not only to the crops that are going to die, but also to their living, primarily because of the low income, because their harvested crops would be lessened.
Fifth is letter U, which stands for the underlying consequences to the human health. To get rid of these, farmers used to capture these invasive species during nighttime where they are usually active.
However, the farmers uses an electric machine in order to fasten the work. This is really a major threat to their health, especially there are times that rain come true.
Lastly, S stands for staple. Rice is our staple food. However, this rice eel is a major threat to the production of our rice.
The continuous growth of these rice eels may cause a major destructions in our rice farm. The harvested rice would be lessened and thus shortage of rice would be an economic problem.
Advantages of rice eels in farmland. The Asian swamp eel has an elongated snake-like body with a blunt, rounded nose. It doesn't appear to have any fins, and its slippery skin is darker green or brown on the top, growing lighter towards the eel underbelly. It has rows of very small teeth that appears more like bristles and smallish dark eyes. It has V-shaped gill opening in its underside just below the head. They can grow up to the length of 1 meter, which is about 3 feet long, and brackish water that's partly salty or acidic condition dried ponds or swamps. It is able to survive in colder climates as well as through heavy freezes ice cover. In some populations, young are hatched as females mature as females, then passes through a non-functional stages for about shorter year that leads to transforming into a larger feed. This is aggressively eats eggs from predators, making their reproductive successes are more likely. Other forms of sexual transformation have been documented as well. The Asian eels variously seems like tadpoles, crayfish, shrimp, worms, and fish of varying sizes. While they can seem to feed without any being impressed without their consuming minnow to minnow with no limit to their appetite, they also able to survive months without food source if necessary. Ecological role. The Asian swamp eel is generally a predator that consumes animals such as crayfish, tadpoles, small fish, and worms. By grabbing their mouths and spinning until they are formed in half. They are likely to affect the population size of the prey as well as the availability to food sources by larger fish, turtles, frogs, and wading birds. They may also play in the role of altering the habitat benefit ponds and marshy regions where the burrow nests wait out in dry seasons.
Hi, I am Karen, and the video that you'll see next is my take on how to utilize the disadvantages of the invasive species to rice eel.
For the resolution of the continuous growth of the population of this invasive species, BFAR had an idea to turn this predator to a useful product, which are developed and processed to be a value-added product. From this action, the Philippines is now profiting from this invasive species that's already amounting 517 million pesos in export. Relocating the species is tough due to its rapid adding of population, and is only a process to the locations where it currently exists.
Rice eels are known to leave immeasurable damage in rice paddies, as well as a decrease of population of endemic species found in certain areas. Although these pesky creatures can multiply up to thousands, farmers devise a way to slowly get rid of these invasive species. Once known as pests, it's becoming more of an export commodity, most especially for exotic cuisines. The introduction of these slimy creatures became a huge threat in the agriculture sector, but thanks to the human efforts and better water management practices, these species are slowly getting rid out of the paddies they once called home, back into the aquariums where they really belong. Not to mention some other platters where other Asian countries would pay top prices for.